ULF. I am Chairman Jack,
Hello, ULF. This is Comrade Taras.
and today on another What Is, we are talking about alienation and more so like alienation from labor, as Marx talked about. So, as me and Taras normally do, I'm going to hand it off to him, and he's going to read some quotes from Marx.
Yeah, so alienation, in simplest terms, is the process whereby the worker is made to feel foreign to the products of his or her own labor. It is the creation of commodities that need not lead to alienation and can indeed be highly satisfying. One pours one's own subjectivity into an object, and one can even gain enjoyment from the fact that another in turn gains enjoyment from our craft.
Yeah, so basically it just means like, I think a really good metaphor is like the assembly line or working in industry or even like working in a restaurant or anything is, so let's say for example, a metaphor I've always used when talking about alienation, so let's say you work for a company that makes shovels, right? You have no connection to what you're making. You're constantly making things. Like when you went back to even like the peasantry, you made what you were doing and you genuinely even sort of cared about like when you were making things, or early, guilds, because that was yours and you were selling it and it was your, property, versus now, that doesn't exist. You are proletarian, so all you do is make things, and you're selling yourself, and all you can do is sell your labor. So you're just thinking about, I have no connection to this. I have no connection to what I am making, yet I'm still selling my soul. So it leads to this constant breaking in your head of like, what am I doing? What is going on? Because you have no connection to what you are doing. You're just constantly laboring with nothing else to be added.
Right, and to your first point, that's exactly it, is that if you are connected to the end result of your labor, and if you are connected to the end result of the fruits of your labor, then there is some value in that. There is some inherent reward to that. You're not alienated from the result of all of that because you're directly connected to the experience or to the process in some way. But under capitalism specifically, and under imperialism as we see now, this alienation from the fruits of your labor, from the end result of what you're contributing, just becomes more and more exacerbated as the system proliferates.
Yeah, I just think on a whole, what has to be noted with alienation is like, that's why a lot of people feel the way they do, and why a lot of people feel so downtrodden is because they don't think there's any other option and they don't know what to do. So they constantly live in this new alienation of just trying to survive, as all that happens around them is just constant working and working and working with no end result. All you're doing is selling your labor and selling yourself, when you can do nothing more than, you can't do anything about it. You just have to keep on selling products that you have no connection to, and you're not even selling the product. Your boss isn't making money off of you, and if, your boss didn't think you were profitable anymore, you'd be gone.
Right, and from Marx, I have, in capitalism, the worker is exploited insofar as he does not work to create a product that he then sells to a real person. Instead, the proletariat works in order to live, in order to obtain the very means of life, which he can only achieve by selling his labor to a capitalist for a wage, as if his labor were itself a property that can be bought and sold. So that's exactly it. You have no connection to it other than the fact that you are selling yourself. You're selling the work that you do so that someone else can then eventually, through this line of profit and through this line of, this string of capitalism, and through someone else profiting off your labor, someone else will then reap the rewards.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, I think that's a pretty good description, and I think that's a pretty good summary of it. It's just like why people feel the way they do nowadays is like due to this alienation, and the only people who don't truly feel it is like the bourgeoisie. Like I think of like Stalin's quote really well of like, what does a homeless person know of freedom? What does a man with no bread, no home, and no job know of freedom? And I think that is a perfect description of like what alienation feels like and what alienation means.
Right, yeah, and to continue, Marx also offers that the worker is alienated from his or her product precisely because he or she no longer owns that product. It is the capitalist that they work for owns that product. The person who eventually purchased it from that capitalist owns that product, but they themselves never get to experience the actual rewards and the actual direct benefit from being part of that process of creating that and contributing to society. So this alienation from labor and alienation from one's own value in terms of as a worker comes from not being able to see yourself as part of this greater process. You become removed from it as you just become simply, as Marx would put it, a wage slave.
Mm-hmm.
You are directly you are directly at the behest of capital at all times, and you don't get to control your contributions to the greater process.
Yeah, and I think that's perfect. And I think you did it perfectly. So that's really the sum of it, and I thank everyone for listening. I have been Chairman Jack.
Thank you so much. This is Comrade Toss.